Did you know if you're a farmer, you can get your low tunnels paid for by the NRCS? Through a recently launched government program, farmers can get between $4 and $5 per square foot in reimbursement towards a Quick Hoops low tunnel system. That's free money to help increase production on your farm. Learn more about Quick Hoops and the NRCS program at shop.moderngrower.co or using the link below.
And a lot of people listening to this, that's what they're after when it comes to char. They're gardeners, they're homesteaders, they're farmers, and the soil either fuels them internally because it's something that they enjoy, or it's literally their livelihood. Looking at your work and thinking about projects that you've done over the years, can you talk about some stories or examples where you've seen agricultural soils really change with the addition of char?
So I'm a gardener and an experimenter, and I'm not a commercial farmer. I've certainly seen my garden soil change a lot, and I could talk about what changes I've observed. There are some people who are starting to use biochar in broad-scale agriculture. There certainly are people who are using it in horticulture. Specifically, vineyards, cannabis, nut and fruit trees, blueberries, things like that. I don't have personal experience with those.
Yeah. Well, even on the garden scale would be great. Just stuff that you've seen.
Well, one of the projects, the biggest project that I have done that involved other people was a conservation innovation grant from the NRCS. And we got that grant in 2015, and we spent 3 years working with a group of enthusiasts and also a group of small farmers to do biochar experiments. But the whole focus of our grant was not on like long-term field studies. We did some pot trials. We did do a couple of field trials, which are very difficult to do. But mostly we were looking at how to use biochar to manage manure. So that's the conclusion I came to quite a while ago, is that when you take charcoal straight out of a kiln, it's not alive. It's a mineral. It's not a biological entity. It's a mineral, and it can have some interesting effects if you just add a lot of it right to soil, straight out of the kiln. It's the sponge, so it starts absorbing things, right? And it can temporarily tie up nitrogen just by absorbing it. It can also temporarily tie up nitrogen if it has. There's always there's several fractions in each char. The way you characterize it is it's by fractions. So you have a fraction of stable carbon, which is, what we think of as the char. Then you have a fraction of labile carbon, which is, carbon that's not completely charred. It might be an oily kind of material, still has hydrogen and oxygen in it. That's microfood. Microbes can eat that. And then you have ash. So those are the three main fractions, and ash is just the minerals, right? When you burn all the carbon out, you're just left with this white powder, which is the ash. So that labile carbon, some chars have quite a lot of that. And if you put that in soil, then it's like adding sawdust. So you get the microbial bloom where the microbes go, oh, carbon. Now, where's the nitrogen? And so they start robbing all the nitrogen and again, temporarily tying up nitrogen. So a lot of people have gotten bad results from char just because they didn't know how to use it. They dumped a whole bunch of it right in the soil. Like the first researchers, soil scientists even, they looked at the terra preta soils and they said, oh, there's 10 tons per hectare, 10 to 20 tons per hectare of char in these soils. Let's try that. So they dumped 10 to 20 tons per hectare of char in a field, and they get bad results, And they're like,
what did we do?
Create it all at once. It was created a little bit at a time, and it was mixed with other organics. So the secret to using biochar is put it in the compost first. It's really simple. Anyway, so we did a lot of experiments that really showed that, I think, pretty well with our project. And so we worked with about a dozen small farmers. And the idea was so we're in Oregon, so these were all farmers mostly who had some woody debris, timberland or slash piles. We're always trying to deal with falling branches, dead trees. They're a fuels problem for us because, we have forest fires. So because they're doing all this work anyway to manage this woody debris and usually putting it in a burn pile that they light off and it's smoky and, not nice. So we designed and built kilns, what we call the Oregon kiln, which is this pyramid kiln, and then another one called the Ring of Fire kiln, which is just a cylinder. And we really, I think, perfected some techniques for making char in these kilns. And then we take the char and, we'd use it in animal barns. So we had a goat dairy, and they would sprinkle the char on top of the bedding once a week. And noticeable improvements in odors, far less ammonia. Animals seem to be healthier. They're not exposed to that ammonia. And then the other thing is that the manure pack, which in a goat dairy, they're not cleaning it out every day. They're cleaning it maybe 2-3 times a year. And whereas before they'd have to wear a respirator when they dug into that because the ammonia was so intense. Now it's compost. It's composting in place, much healthier for the animals. And so that's, if you have any kind of animals at all, that's where you should start using your biochar. And then it cascades through the system. I mean, this is a perfect permaculture item because you're stacking functions all the way.
If you enjoy this podcast, then be sure to check out Farm Small, Farm Smart Daily, where you can get your daily dose of farm wisdom. Tune in every day to learn the latest tips, tricks, and stories from the world of farming. Whether you're a seasoned farmer or just getting started, our podcast has something for everyone. Join us as we explore topics like farm business, crop planning, soil management, and tools and technology. Start your day off right with Farm Small, Farm Smart Daily, available on all major podcast platforms. Don't miss out. Subscribe today.